Hey, Mickey here with Gunfighter Gun Oil and Carry Trainer. I'm out here with our good friends from Alpha Munitions, the finest makers of long-range brass on the planet. They didn't pay me to say that, I just had to. And this is actually their video, but I wanted to make one and ask some questions of a nerd engineer that knows all about bolt guns and shooting and lubes and stuff like that. What's the best way to lubricate a bolt?
Yeah.
And why?
Yeah,
absolutely. And what don't you want to, like, what are the things you don't want to do?
Well, I think let's start with what we want to do first, and the main reason we do lubricate bolts. And so a lot of our customers are shooting these bolts and everything from Oklahoma moon dust that just covers everything and
like
gets
talcum
everywhere.
powder, like baby powder.
It finds its way into every crack.
Okay.
And then, or it's some of our shooters that get down in Florida and they're shooting in torrential rain sometimes, or even it happens out here in Utah. But we want to make sure that at least all the bolt has at least a fine film across it just to protect the metal. It's, metal with any kind of corrosion could happen. So we want to protect that. But the key areas that we want to make sure we want to get lube is where either the metal's contacting metal and there's all the force and the loading occurs during the firing of the round. So we're going to zoom in, take a look and see. On the bolt, we have the lugs up on top. And so we want to make sure when the round actually goes off, that recoil that you feel gets pushed from the base of the case onto the bolt face and drives through the lugs that are within the action, and the action takes that load. So we want to make sure that we're lubricating our lugs nicely. These also slide back and forth when you're cycling the gun back and forth. So it's a good area to go ahead and lubricate those nicely. Now we don't need to gob it on there, and because we want to make sure that lube does not get on the bolt face, but a nice application of lube, run it, cycle it a couple times, make sure it's good to go.
What happens if we get lube on the bolt face? Like, what is it? Is it going to impact the primer? Is it make the gun blow up? What's going to happen?
So I don't think you're going to necessarily make the gun blow up. If it starts to get within the chamber, then if you get hydroforming or something like that when you fire it, again, if it's a very large amount of liquid, water, or lubricant within the chamber when you actually fire it, you'll see pressures increase.
So you cause a pressure spike. Okay.
So, and it could, I've never seen it happen where it gets so bad that you actually like detonate the rifle. However, you will see a pressure spike, and for those shooting at longer ranges, that higher velocity is going to cause issues on the impact. You're not going to see the same impact area.
Okay.
Then within the actual like firing pin hole, so when that firing pin pops on through, it's a small hole and it just fits. So if you start to collect too much in there, it could inhibit it, but it shouldn't be any issue.
So
but most guys are taking these
made it like a little
clean.
hydraulic action where that liquid's stopping the firing pin from doing its job.
And some, if people are running those super like light springs, maybe, but I don't think it should be too much of an issue with how light and flowing this lubricant is. It's a really nice lubricant.
I often look for like the shiny spots on a worn gun. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it shows that there's metal rubbing, and then you want to protect those areas.
Those spots.
Especially also the finish is off. So let's say this is my hunting rifle and I shoot it a couple times a year. If I leave those metal spots open and you don't have a good dry environment in your safe, you could have rusting issues.
Makes
so
sense.
It's another way to make sure you have a good film across it, just to make sure it's lubricated and good to go.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that was a good tip from Rickson at Alpha Munitions. And of course, we suggest that you use Gunfighter gun grease on your bolts.
Yeah.
I said I got me some gunfighter gun oil. Gunfighter gun oil, baby. Gunfighter gun oil, no more gunfighter blue. Made in the USA, amazing lubricity, 100% synthetic, baby, so it's gonna last you longer. So go on carrytrainer.com and order yourself some gunfighter gun oil, gunfighter lube, to get rid of your gunfighter blues. I said go on and order yourself some gunfighter lube. Take my gunfighter lube. Yeah!